Yes, I don't have a shirt on because I feel a little bit naked with what I'm going to be talking about. And this video is being recorded on Thursday night for Saturday. It's not going to go up until midnight Saturday, first first minute of the new day on Saturday. Aristo's video will go up at midnight tonight that we recorded earlier today. The title is Out of My Comfort Zone, Relationship Challenges. I was supposed to be on a date tonight with the same wonderful lady I was with last night. It didn't happen. Quote, I won't be seeing you. Huge difference in our life focus. End quote, is how she put it. So here I am doing what I have been doing all day. Pondering, meditating, second guessing, analyzing, and feeling a myriad of feelings. A short time ago, I posted a note on Facebook that includes an article by my late gay friend, Jack Nichols. I'll take that D off and, because it's not supposed to be and. It's one of the most thought-provoking articles I ever read about relationships. I still do not know how I will handle the situation I am in. Challenged to step outside my comfort zone by re-examining how I define relationships. This will be my video for Saturday, although I am recording it on Thursday. I might take that out of the blurb because I just said it at the beginning of this anyway. Yes, and I'll probably include the link for my YouTube subscribers to Facebook, and you'll have to go on there to read the note if you choose to read the article. The title of the article is Must Romance and Love End in Marriage? And it was written actually in April 1997 by Jack Nichols, and it was in the August 1997 issue of Paradox Magazine, which I personally published. And as I said, it's one of the best articles I ever read as food for thought about relationships. Jack Nichols was a gay liberation pioneer. He was the first man ever to appear on public television. It was in 1962 on the Mike Wallace Show, where he openly admitted that he was gay. And as I said, he was a gay rights activist. He became my friend. And that's an amazing story in and of itself. When I asked him to write for my magazine after I had complained to the publisher of Horizons magazine about putting my article, Homosexuality, or right next to an article, Homosexuality 101, I was furious about that. And here I was asking a gay activist to write for a magazine that I had total control over. I mean, nobody could overrule me on my own magazine. And as I was driving away from the library that night where I had attended the book signing and the release of his new book at the time, The Gay Agenda, Talking Back to Fundamentalists, in which he actually read several sentences from my article that I had written about fundamentalism and the ego. And I think it was the 4th issue of Paradox Magazine, and he became one of my regular writers. But I'm driving down A1A and saying, God, what did I just do? And one of the messages, one of the clearest messages I ever got from Spirit came like this: you don't know enough to judge another, and if you did, you wouldn't. And from that time forward, I have been very leery to judge people for their sexual preferences unless their sexual preferences involve violence or taking advantage of children by adults. I mean, I do not advocate that, and I have trouble saying that it's okay, because to me that's still really pretty bad stuff. But anyway, I've been doing a lot of pondering since I got home last night from the date. It was a wonderful date. I got a message back that it was a wonderful date from the lady, but then 3 hours later, in the middle of the night, she couldn't sleep, and she wrote what I quoted. It was not a very long thing. She has agreed to meet with me possibly next week and discuss it more. And I don't know how that will go. I do not have clarification on her reasoning. The only thing that I can think of is uh, she's an advocate of using certain recreational drugs that would potentially enhance sexual activity. And I've never used, I mean, I took LSD one time, a long time ago, and I've never smoked pot, and I don't even know anything about ecstasy. Those are three drugs that she mentioned in our conversation last night. But I'm not into recreational drugs. The only drug that I would use, and that only under shamanic conditions, is ayahuasca. And we talked about that last night. But she uh, made it somewhat clear that was something that was important to her, apparently. And I do believe that that's the reason. I discussed it with my friend Margie and with Aristo today before we actually did the video, and both of them agree that that's probably it, because that's something that she obviously wants to share with her lover. And I'm just I'm uncomfortable going there. And the other lady who has shown interest in me is as I've mentioned in a previous video, she's polyamorous. She's in a relationship. She lives with her husband, but it's an open relationship. And she and I have been spending time communicating. And not only is there attraction, I mean, I glean a lot of wisdom from this lady. I mean, she's a deeply spiritual person and a highly sexual person at the same time, and that's not a contradiction. And I've explored the concept of polyamory in the past. I've had friends that have been polyamorous. I've known them personally. I've had discussions with them. Sometimes it really ends up hurting them, but I think the hurt is because of our conditioning and our programming and our culture to believe that we're only allowed to love and be loved by one other person sexually. That's it. That's the rules. And I'll tell you, I remember back, for example, I'm actually changing course here. I'll get back to where I was going. But I think that maybe I was being politely moved aside. I mean, she says that I'm a wonderful person. She says a lot of nice things about me, don't get me wrong. And even some of the email dialogue that we had, the lady that I'm talking about, the lady that I was out with last night, not the married lady. The reason was because I didn't want to use certain substances. Apparently. I don't know that for a fact, but apparently. But I remember one time that I went on a date, and when we go into the place where my son's band was playing, I asked, well, what do you drink? And she said, I don't drink alcohol, and if you drink alcohol, take me home now because I won't ride with anybody that's been drinking alcohol. Well, I never went out with her again. So if she wasn't willing to have a drink with me, I wasn't willing to have a relationship with her. So that came back to me as I've been pondering. But this idea of a relationship with someone that you don't live with is just foreign to my concept. I mean, my concept of relationships is two people that fire on all cylinders, that get together and co-create children if they're young enough, or worlds if they're mature enough. And my friend really likes that idea of co-creating worlds. And she doesn't know what it is. I've never experienced it either, but she's a player. I mean, when I say a player, I mean she's willing to go outside of the comfort zone set up by society and love people. And I've known some polyamorous people that are really loving people. I have a friend who worked for several years as a prostitute, actually. And she said that she never had sex with anybody that she did not feel love for when she was making love. It was not just a routine. She was present with the person making love. It's not just physical, mechanical sex. It's actually an emotional connection, a spiritual connection that expresses itself through sensuality and sexuality. I do believe that we live in a world that is touch deprived, in a world that is sexually repressed. Even people that are sexual addicts and get sex a lot, they never are fulfilled because of all of the conditioning and brainwashing that we've been put through. And I think of all the people that I know, the women that I know are attracted to me. I know they are. I mean, some of them have made it very clear, and others I can just pick up the energy. But I'm not attracted to them. Why? Because I have an image of the partner, the single partner that I want to spend my life with. I don't want to get involved with somebody that I wouldn't want to be with every day. Well, if I was polyamorous, I could allow myself to go outside of my comfort zone and love people or touch people and share sexuality and touch with them, even if they don't attract me on a physical level, which is important to me. I could experiment. Now, my friend who I had the conversation with today, my friend who is married and in the open relationship, she said she's had lovers of all varieties of ages, races, and sizes. I mean, you're just loving the person for who they are, not for what they look like, not for any external thing. It's just because there's something about them that she resonates with, and that enables her to be willing to make love to that person and to really love them. And this has been a characteristic of hers throughout her life. And I find that fascinating, and absolutely there's no reason to put it down. And after our conversation today, I realized in many aspects, I think she's more spiritually advanced than most spiritual people I know that are monogamous. Now, I'm not pushing polyamory. That's something that's an individual choice, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to go there and play in that arena, because I have always prided myself, self-righteously, being monogamous. Only one time did I ever go back to a former lover after I had established a relationship with another lover, and that was only one time only, just to see what it would be like. But other than that, I've always been one lady at a time, and I've never had sex with a second person while I was in a relationship. But I was 36 years old when I had sex for the second time in my life with somebody else, and I was a virgin when I got married at almost 22. I have so little sexual experience, and it's the area, as I've said many times, that I'm the most uncomfortable, the most insecure. I don't know how to handle relationships. For a long time, I mean, I wouldn't even kiss a woman without asking permission, and certainly wouldn't touch her breasts or touch her genitals or anything like that without asking permission. I'm a little bit better with the kissing aspect. I'm still a little bit shy of doing some touching or petting in private areas, because that's how I was raised. And so I'm really out of my comfort zone, even in the dating arena, which is why I've had so little experience, why I've spent so much time alone. I mean, these women tell me how good looking I am, and I've had other women tell me the same thing. Well, I don't know, to me, that's somebody else's opinion. I know somebody that thinks people are good looking if they're really large. I like people that are really small, thin. That's what is attractive to me. But if everybody was willing to be at least sensually present with other people, without putting a box or defining it, or saying I can only having to live with this person to experience and have fun with them. There's so many rules, is what I'm trying to say. So many rules. And because of all of our rules, we deprive ourselves of the most precious thing we've been given, and that is our own body, our own sensuality, our own sexuality. We deprive ourselves of experiencing that in relationship with other people because we've limited ourselves to doing things that put us in a box. In the article that Jack Nichols wrote, married people are so bound up. I mean, he quotes, let's see if I can just quickly find it. Mary Chilton, I think was her name, if I'm remembering right. Oh God, this is a long article. Oh, Mary Chilton, a free love feminist advocate. She said, "Oh, cautious and conservative reformer, look around you and see the careworn faces of your respectable married friends. Listen and hear the sighs and groans of heartbroken sufferers. What does all this sickness and misery mean that we see everywhere? Are not these prudent people really the martyrs, and not the brave and fearless, who leave home and friends and position and luxury for the love of freedom and the freedom of love? Not they, the martyrs. No, you will find the martyrs among the respectable, and those deemed comfortable and certainly cared for portion of the community. Could you look behind the scenes, you would find manacles on arms that in secret are raised to heaven. You might see the vinegar-soaked sponge of respectability tauntingly offered in mockery to the fevered lips." That was from 1856, long time ago. But I have to admit that even when I've been in relationships, much of the time, even if it's a good relationship, and God knows I've been in a few bad ones, but even if it was a good relationship, for somehow it always left me unfulfilled. And Jack Nichols ends his treatise on Must Romance and Love End in Marriage with a quote from the prophet, from Khalil Gibran, on his treatise about marriage. "Love one another, but make not a bond of love. Let it be a moving sea between the shores of your souls. Fill each other's cup, but drink not from one cup. Give one another your bread, but eat not from the same loaf. Sing and dance together and be joyous, but let each one of you be alone, even as the strings of a lute are alone, though they quiver with the same music." And my sexuality, when I get close to it, I quiver. And sometimes I just like to be held until the fear in me subsides. I sent that song to both ladies because that's what I need. Because I don't know how to handle this out of my comfort zone. And it hurts to break my own rules, or to even be challenged to break my own rules. And I don't know what my future holds, but I know I don't want to spend the rest of my life depriving myself of the love I crave so much. And I would like everyone to experience love in your life and be fulfilled and experience joy and happiness and touch. We die when we're children if we don't get touched, but as adults we suppress that and we suffer alone, endlessly and needlessly, because of our programming that we can only be loved by, and we can only love one other person. Anything else than that is a sin. We got to get over that, I believe. I think I do anyway. Thank you for listening. Namaste.